Welcome back to Dark Nexus. Tonight, it's Act 3, Chapter 113. Grip. Alone and untended, you walk the dead roads, sobbing and groaning and muttering. You know you must not cling to this memory, you must try to leave it insensible and languid in the darkness, and so you waken in the sickly aftermath of a night of racking anguish. Your teeth ache, your ribs ache, your skin is afire, all your body is afire, and you come to like grim death. The pain does not pass. Your first thought is a desire to kill yourself as you experience the strange horror of seeing that your chest is whole and solid and mangled and crushed, a sickly disorder of exposed bones and arteries and little white nerves. It is only by a frantic effort of will that you can drag yourself back into the light to begin the impossible process of detaching your consciousness from the memory of what just transpired. But as you come to after the 56 points of damage you just did to yourself, as Stasi and Barnabas rush over to try to help you deal with the devastated ruin that is your waking body, my guess is that due to your delirium and the 11 points of sanity damage you just took, my guess is you probably can't fully detach your memory from the dead roads you just walked. While the rest of the world is a blur before the others waken, what is going on inside the Gripper? What does he remember?
He remembers the cat's jaws closing around Grip's chest. He feels his ribs crack, his lungs puncture, his chest cavity collapse. Has he always been this fucking fragile? The last thing he sees in this fucking forest of nightmares is the branch of a tree. As the light begins to dim, the curves of the tree branch become the desert landscape. The wind blowing over a sea of dunes, then blowing over the crest of one single dune, then blowing just one grain of sand. Then he is that grain of sand. Grip is blown along the desert floor, grey, brown sand and rocks and scrub. The sky grey and brown with occasional streaks of blue lightning, flashing, but thunder never comes. The only sound is the wind. The path he is blown along never veers. The wind blows him straight and true, never varying in its course. The wind is a howl, a moan, a lament. He feels something behind him, but it must be the wind. It is the wind behind him, aye. He begins to see the faint outlines of paths that veer off the course he is on. They briefly appear, glimmer slightly, and then dissolve in the sand. Then he notices he sees where one of these paths leads. It is Grip, not sand grain Grip, but young Rip Tusk. And he walks away from a tattoo needle. He says no. He chooses no. But that path dissolves in the sand. He sees a path wherein he is not captured by biting lash, where he is a warrior with honor, a father of children, a tribe elder. That path dissolves into the sand. A path where he takes the offered constable badge in his hand and smashes that hand through Hazarton Pragmus Lowell the Fourth's face and takes whatever consequence comes next. But that path dissolves into sand. A path where he doesn't relish murder dissolves into sand. A path where he helps Dr. Trice escape dissolves into sand. A path where he says no dissolves into sand. The grain of sand what was Grip looks behind to make sure it is only the wind following him, but there is something else there. It looks like maybe another grain of sand behind him, just a speck tailing him, gaining on him. He notices that its shape is not as well defined as a grain of sand. It is more amorphous, more viscous. It is a globule of something. Then he recognizes it. It is a globule of ink. He tries to make this rail car he is on go faster, but he cannot. Soon the bubble of ink is right behind him. Then it overtakes him, consumes him. The ink drenches him, drags him to the ground like a quagmire. He tries to pull himself up and notices he's not a grain anymore. He is himself. He has limbs, but he is covered in ink like an oil slick. The oil starts to slough off of him, adhering only to his tattoos, burning with white, hot fire. The fire of sunlight. He lifts his head enough to look at the ground in front of him and sees a pair of boots attached to legs, attached to a body. He continues to look up and sees the oddly shaped limbs, the rotting flesh, the hair over his fucking eyes, and the wounds opening for him, taking his pain. He never asked anyone to do that. Who the fuck did he think he was anyway, taking his pain like that? The face of Braden Vadicus looks down on Grip.
You got this, Grip.
No! That wasn't even my fucking bit! Grip wakes up.
So, Grip is alive, but Grip is mad. It's the morning now of the 12th of Cathona, day 32 on the boat, mile 290. It's a gloomy day, overcast, 40 degrees, light drizzle. As I mentioned last episode, I think you're inside this bay now that's going to narrow considerably over the next few miles or so, and then you will be on the Glass River by midday. Before we worry about all the healing and logistics and plans and sorting through the State of the Union here, though, and before we deal with the unconscious form of Paul's backup character that we just almost killed...
You're welcome.
And stole all his belongings from.
We have completed 2 gift quests now, and after over a month on the boat, these characters have finally leveled up. Let's return to the realities after we check in with everyone and see where we're at. Who wants to kick us off?
Me.
Go for it.
I have a boring one, and I think everybody else probably has an interesting one. I got 6 more hit points.
Yeah.
Which is almost as many as I can
As you can get, yeah.
No feats this level. We get a stat boost, which I put in intelligence, but which has no mechanical benefit
yet.
at this point.
Mm-hmm.
BAB went up. Will save went up.
For all that you use it.
Yeah. I got a new discipline spell, which I'm saving.
Yes.
And I got...
I can't wait for that
I
one.
now have like 10 Phoenix pool points, which is great. I had put my skill ranks and everything. I learned Necrol, since it was sort of available to
And
me
you've been
to
reading
learn.
books all month.
Yeah. I did get a new Knack, which is a 0-level psychic spell. I will tell you what that is because, oh, glory, it's mending. And I do get another 4th level spell, which I'm going to save.
Yeah.
But I'm confident it will come up.
Oh my god. Yes, it will.
4th level spells.
Yeah.
And you got another action point, because we're at an even...
Yes, and what's awesome is that at 8th level, you get to roll twice every time you use an action point and take the higher result.
Yes!
Which
That's
we love.
So exciting. So all of those secondary uses, you know, the extra attack per round or raising your caster level, they still exist. But now anytime you use an action point to simply raise a die 20 roll by 1d6, you get to roll 2d6 and keep the higher of the 2 rolls. We've discussed in the past how none of this stuff that Dora's coming up with now is memories of Tima. But we're thinking about, you know, in this book, we're thinking about changes and transition. Is there anything that happened in this level that you're feeling like is a shift for her in any way?
Well, she started off this level very isolated and obsessed.
Yeah.
Produced results with that, but really had to be talked into being a part of things. Mm-hmm. But I think these quests, horrible, horrific and hard as they have been, have invigorated her sort of sense of we're moving forward, we're doing things.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. And she is very focused on more of a goal that is external rather than internal now.
Yeah.
But
It's got to be so refreshing to have, instead of one long-term goal that you even know how to reach, a bunch of smaller, finite things that you can tick off.
Check a
Yeah.
fucking box.
Yeah.
That's great. Her relationship with Tima, however, has been altering and shifting, and I don't think it's landed anywhere yet. But they are practically in a place of negotiation.
Yeah.
Which is just weird because Dora's like, well, what do I want from you? Like, what am I negotiating for?
And it doesn't even seem clear that she knows that either.
No, but if I were her, I would be negotiating for control.
Right.
But she isn't. She's negotiating for, like, things that interest her. Like to try to make me feel bad, which Dora's like, yeah, great, of course you're going to do that. You're going to insult me and you're going to do all this stuff. But what do you want? And which puts the mirror up for Dora to be like, well, what do I want from this?
Right.
Because I'm good with the way things are. You know, like I would rather you were gone. I would rather you hadn't killed Ray. I would rather all these things. But status quo.
I can use you, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I don't need to hear from you, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you don't have anything to offer other than what I can take from you, why are we having a conversation?
Yeah.
So that's. I think Dora's transition in this book is a long arc, and we'll see where it ends up.
Yeah, I'm just noting, so much of what defined that relationship from the beginning up until I think near the end of the second book was a strong sense of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But like you hit that point where you learned all that stuff about Tima's past, and it seemed to sort of put you know what? I think I've got some context here.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to use her. I know how we work together. Maybe that's something I don't need to
Worry
as much about. Yeah. Interesting.
But I do know that one of the spells that I learned this level would not be possible if she were not there.
Yep.
Even though the inspiration
Because
of it
it's a
definitely
wizard
comes
spell.
from my it's not a psychic spell, but it also comes from our recent experiences in
Yep.
the Dreamlands
Yep.
for sure. So it's really interesting.
Nice.
Change in process.
Who wants to go next?
Dabwick will go next.
Dabwick.
Dabwick. Also,
Frogwick.
of all the wicks,
Slingtoad.
all the many wicks. That's something that's really exciting about Dabwick's leveling here, 8th level as an urban druid. Something that Dabwick didn't have access to before is wild shape.
Yay.
And at 8th level, an urban druid can now start to wild shape. So that means I can do those things where I become an animal.
So you usually it starts at 4th level.
That's right.
But for an urban druid,
It
'cause
starts
they're all
at
city
8th.
folk, it starts at 8. Okay.
That's right.
So you can become an animal for 4 hours a day, right? Like
That's
one
correct.
time per day.
That's right.
so
Is
great.
it like in blocks, or you can do 1
No,
minute
it's
at a
one
time,
use.
400 different animals?
It's just one use a
Oh,
day.
okay.
One animal up to 4 hours per day.
Mm-hmm.
Standard action to change that form, standard action to change back. It's very different than the at-will
Yeah.
1,000 faces, that super powerful ability
Yeah.
that the urban druids get so early. And the trade-off is, of course, they get wild shape later and much less intense.
Yeah, they can't.
That's still
maximize
really
that.
cool.
It's
though.
still
Yeah.
Very cool.
And is it a set number, like certain animals you turn into, or is it
It's
everything under
smaller.
the sun?
It's smaller, medium for now, and then as we level up, we will get to some larger animals.
But it's not. You can be a mongoose. Like you have a choice of a range of different things.
No, I
If
think
they
it's
know the
based on,
animal,
like,
they can,
yeah.
and it's the right size, they can become that animal.
Very cool.
Is it just size, not like CR rating or anything?
Just size, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And Dabwick has a pretty good knowledge nature check, so I think there's a lot of animals they can choose from.
100%. 100%.
Another thing that Dabwick got this level is a domain power.
Oh, right. I forgot
Aura
about that.
of protection, which is fantastic. I mean, it's got the +1 deflection bonus, but it's got a 5 resistance against all elements, including sonic, which we haven't
wow.
had any protection from yet.
Nothing
Nothing
gives
gives
resistance
that.
from Sonic.
Yeah, that's
Seriously.
amazing.
So you can give it to the whole party, is that right?
Yeah, it has a 30-foot aura of protection for a number of rounds per day equal to my cleric level.
That's really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Druid level, though, right?
Druid level, yes.
Ability score, I'm assuming you pumped up wisdom.
That's correct.
And probably no benefit this level, right?
That is correct.
What is your wisdom score now?
Well, let's see, because it's modified. It's 19 is my base, and now modified 21.
Nice.
Do you have access to a new level of spells, or are you still cranking away on 4th level.
Still cranking away on 4th level.
But more of those per day.
Yes.
Nice.
That's
Yay.
awesome.
Yay.
And you've been diving in with all of your various meditation visions, thinking about how Dabwick has been changing and becoming and growing ever since this seeding, and now on this long, long boat journey. Is Dabwick still feeling an active sense of being between things, changing, becoming? They're a little further out now from their untimely death. Where are they sitting at with what's happening to them?
After that bout of melancholy from dying in the Dreamlands, there was a time where Dabwick felt disconnected from the community, but I feel like the bond is very tight at this point, and I feel like Dabwick's very much a part of the team.
Great. Nice.
We love that Dabwick
Except
kid.
for you, Johnny.
Except for you in all your forms.
In all your forms.
Every time you've tried to kill me.
I really didn't know that was you.
Okay, you want to go next, Johnny?
Sure. Vic has gotten all kinds of fun stuff. He leveled up his dex, which now with his item is a sweet 20. He got an additional +1 to his BAB, which means that he gets 2 attacks per round for a full round attack, which is huge.
Yeah.
Welcome. Like literally a gigantic thing.
Yeah. Especially now that your gun actually does damage.
Yes. Now that I can actually
You can hit with it.
Now that I can hit with it and do damage, firing twice is so much better than getting a rapier stuck in a doorway jam multiple times.
those days?
Oh, yes, I do. I
Remember the
remember
graze?
them
Oh,
so
Constant
strongly.
grazing.
I threw some
Peck,
ranks
peck,
into some things like heal and perception and a couple other things, but his heal, I was like, oh yeah, I think he would definitely be wanting to try to make that as good as it can be. And he got a few more spells. He got his first 3rd level extract, which I am not going to tell you what it is. I'm going to hold off on that, but I will tell you the 2nd level favorite class bonus extract that he picked up. Everybody's favorite, invisibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Welcome
we
to
go.
that club.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I got a investigator talent. And this one is sapping offensive. And what happens is when the investigator damages a studied target, that creature cannot make attacks of opportunity for 1 round.
Nice.
Which, considering that I can, unlike most investigators, attack a studied target from range
Yeah.
and from 40 feet touch, that means anything that's big, if I can shoot it first, that means that we can actually get in without
Maneuver
taking
around it.
Or get out.
massive amounts
Yeah.
of, either get in or get out without getting walloped by attacks of
Can you
opportunity.
imagine the difference that would have made in the last fight?
In the
Yes.
Al-Ghul fight? Oh, yeah.
I mean, in
Yeah.
so many fights. I mean, just the ability to attack it from range and
Yeah.
go, and now you can't attack anything around you. People can move or cast spells
Yeah.
or do anything like
It's
that
huge.
is
all you gotta
massive.
do is hit and do damage with
when I damage, as long as it damages. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So.
That's amazing.
And of course, he's still totally mad. And
Oh, God.
in terms of everyone else waking up, he's waking up going, oh man, damn it. When am I going to get back to YK? Because he still is waiting to wake up back in the Dreamlands. In that little tiny room that he's been living in for 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And transition. You had mentioned at the very beginning of the act that you were thinking about, maybe a long-term alignment transition. You still feel like you are dancing around that midway between exploring options.
I am, but I also think that he's in this place where everything that's happening right now is kind of like his weird subconscious.
There's no consequences.
Yeah, there's no consequences. This
Yeah.
is just a dream.
Yeah.
And I think he's also thinking, oh, well, YK and I talked about all these different fetch quests, to try to get as much information out of him as possible. So, of course, my subconscious dream
Has you
status
doing that,
has
yeah.
me trying to figure these things out. And so that when we really finally go for these things, like I'll have thought about this stuff and done it. And so it's...
The interesting thing about this particular madness and what's happened is once you finally get clear of it and are sane, there is going to be a sanity price to pay to process how you've just processed everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like that actual bridging back to all the choices I made when I didn't understand what was happening and what have I done, where have I been, and how you fill in those gaps for yourself and process them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. And what about the gripper?
The gripper.
Gripper.
So
Don't say your hit points.
I'm going to save. I'm going to save that for last. I'm gonna say it.
You should say your hit points when you're in the dream and you're wearing the belt of Khan, because that'll get the best Jesus Christ we've ever heard.
So let's see. His base attack bonus went up to +8.
Yeah.
Which is significant because it improves things like his power attack and combat expertise ups the bonus, so that will all be good. Here's probably one of the coolest things. His unarmed attack damage is 1d10.
Oh, that's huge.
So he may never need to hold a sword again.
Yeah, he's getting to that point.
Let's
So
see.
you have a Vorpal weapon.
I do have
In the
at
Dreamland.
times. Although I don't know. I feel like
Dude, when you get it.
once I get that natural 20, it's gonna be sweet.
addicted to it.
See, ability score, I bumped up dexterity to 14, so I get a little bump to my armor class.
That's nice.
This is a much better looking armor class than on Barnabas' ship, I just gotta say. Brawlers get a bonus feat at 8th level, and he took Pummeling Style, which is a combat style feat. And what that does is if I use a full attack action or my flurry of blows to make multiple attacks against a single opponent with unarmed strikes, I get to total the damage from all hits before applying damage reduction.
Yeah.
So it
Sweet.
greatly increases the chance of beating someone's damage reduction.
And then the combat stamina
overwhelming.
usage of
Right,
that.
if I spend stamina points, when using the style, you can spend 5 stamina points to pool all of your attacks as a standard action
As a
instead of
standard
a
action.
full
Oh my
round action.
God!
It effectively gives him the pounce ability.
How many stamina points do you have at a time? And they refill over
12,
time. It's
12
not like,
I have 12, and then once I use them, if I rest for how long is it?
Like 1 minute per point.
oh my
if
God.
So 12 per fight,
Yeah.
roughly.
12 per fight, and then take a little 15-minute break, and I get them back. So that's
So he won't be pouncing every round, but he can pounce up to a couple times per fight. It's huge. All of your attacks as a standard action.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yup.
And then
yes,
pooling through all the DR with
Yeah.
them still. It's just out of
that's
this world.
pretty baller. Oh, so skill points.
All right.
Skill points this time, he did Profession Sailor again, he did Perception, and he did Acrobatics,
Yeah.
thinking that his time on the ship has maybe increased his nimbleness a little bit. He's gonna, once he sees who's on the ship now, he's gonna want that Intimidate to be higher, though, I think.
I don't think you're going to need it to intimidate him.
And Brawler's Flurry is now equivalent to improved 2-weapon fighting, so the penalty for those attacks goes down.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a
No, you get an extra one, so you have 4 attacks per round.
right. So I can do four attacks per round.
4 attacks per round?
Yes, he gets his 2 from his BAB, and then 1 extra for the
Flurry of
flurry,
blows.
and then 1 extra for the improved.
Holy shit.
That's amazing.
So that's all pretty sweet.
Yeah, so 2 attacks at his highest BAB, 2 attacks at his lowest BAB.
That's
I
amazing.
think that might be it.
That feels like it.
I have 88 hit points.
Oh!
And in the dream,
In the dream, I have 96 hit points.
That is twice what I have.
Yeah,
Twice.
Yeah.
but he's quite mad.
So do we, and now we've discussed a little bit, I think, once you started taking the combat stamina and veering him as thinking about himself more monkey than fightery, that this branching from maybe remembering skills from your previous life has more evolved into things he's discovering and honing and learning.
I think this level, yeah. I don't. That might not always be the case. I think there's still the possibility that things from the past could still poke through. But
Yeah.
I think this level, especially the time on the ship really affected where he's at.
Yeah. Now we got a new wrinkle to deal with.
But so it's 11 new points.
Yeah.
11 on top of. So what?
You're at 11 sanity damage.
I'm
right
at
now.
11. Okay.
Yeah.
And so delirium is his madness.
Yeah. And because you're no longer dormant, you've got the -2 to your will saves, -2 to all wisdom-based skill and ability checks.
Which luckily it's not. I mean, it makes my will save very bad. Even
But perception is...
perception goes down by
Yeah.
2. Sense motive if I were to try to do such things. Yeah. So I think I'm figuring out how this madness will
Yeah.
manifest itself. But
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what we all got? A +1 to our concentration checks for leveling.
Oh, it's true. Yes.
Oh, that's true.
right.
Gripper really needs it.
And the DC has not changed.
It has not changed.
So we got an advantage.
So there was no rule for how to do this automatic lesser madness, automatic greater madness based on when you die in the Dreamlands. I had done one thing for Dabs that I was not satisfied with. I finally figured out how I want to handle it now with Grip, and also I'll talk about that for just a second here. If you die a second time in the dream, you will obtain enough sanity damage to equivalent to your sanity edge. So that would be enough to drive you to the greater madness. What I've decided to do is, if you die the first time, you will take half that amount. So Grip's sanity edge is 21, so I gave him 11 points of sanity damage. If this happens to Dora, she would take 16 points of damage. Dabik would take 15.
But that means that we could also still get a greater madness in the process of dying if we had a high enough.
It's conceivable. It's conceivable. We'll play that as it comes.
Okay.
But like basically, what happened with Dabik last time was there was only enough sanity damage that by the next day, with one single counseling session from
Sure.
Stasi, it was all gone. I'm like, that's not right. So I'm gonna do more, an amount that you'll have to actually worry about and have to try to get rid of before you go back in and die again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of sanity, Vic's still sitting on 2 damage, but his madness is dormant. Dora and Dabs are at 0. We know Grip is at 11. We should deal with healing, because why don't you tell us how many hit points the Gripper has right now? And we already know that Barnabas and Stasi blew through a crap ton of spells already. And I don't know, we have to revert Dabwick's spells back to what they prepped multiple days in their timeline ago before they went into the Enchanted Wood dream. So what's Grip got for hit point?
He's at 22 of his 88.
And is anybody else damaged? I think...
Dora's down 6, but
I'm down like 5.
Okay.
Stasi has 1 cure moderate wounds left that she will for sure use on Grip.
Great.
And Barnabas has 2.
All right, why don't you fire this off? Polly, does Dabs have any...
20 from his first
Oh,
spell.
great.
So that gets him up to 42.
13 from Stasi.
Do 55. And then Barnabas will shoot his last one.
I do have a light as well.
Another 20. So he's up to 75 of 88.
Wow.
He feels pretty good about that.
Does Dabs have anything to sort of finish that off?
Yeah, Dabs could cast 1 Cure Moderate Wounds.
Perfect.
For 14 points.
Then Stasi might use her.
And remember,
that
we
gets him
also... So now that we've taken care of our
Yeah.
dear loved one...
And
Yeah.
also, Vic, even though he is still thinking this is a dream, I think that he would also wake up into his dreaming world and be like, oh, man, I gotta try to help you guys again with this. I mean, I messed you up in my dream, so the least I can do is try to fix you in the waking dream world.
Stasi will hold off on her cure light wounds until the party can discuss what to do with the tied up rat folk in the corner.
Yeah. We got a witch, and we also have a badly damaged asshole named Stanhope Nixon.
Who?
Yeah, and Stasi is
What?
And that's something to explain to the Gripper.
Stasi is fairly fucked up too, but she's less concerned about that.
Does anybody want Vic to attempt to heal them?
Dora's only down 6, but for her, every hit point counts. So if there's healing to be had, she'll take it.
You're talking about taking an hour?
Yeah.
Let's hold off on that.
Yeah.
Because Dabs has to go to work. So let's address any conversation the group might want to have
Okay.
before Dabs has to
Yeah.
go to work. So Barnabas and Stasi can certainly fill you all in on the goings on while you were in the dreaming.
When Dora sees
Yeah.
that creature,
Yes.
she looks immediately to its mouth.
Gagged. Very vigorously.
She meets eyes with Barnabas, nods. But then Stasi is going to tell the tale of it appeared to be trying to help us. It got mad when we hit it. I don't know.
But based on what we've seen, I don't trust it.
No, I don't think you should, but
Yeah, no, I don't trust it either.
Let's kill it.
Dora is going to ask Stasi and anyone else who might be down here to
Yeah.
leave the hall. Which Stasi will be a little like, I'm saving this fucking spell to help you.
Yeah.
I don't think she doesn't understand.
But she's starting to feel that outsidery feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she looks at Barnabas and remembers what he told her. Do you want me to heal him before I go up?
No. We don't want to waste our resources on that thing.
You don't want to talk to it?
Why don't we just wait till tomorrow? Maybe I'll wake up by then.
All right. Stasi, don't be alone with it. Ever.
Should we have its eyes covered so it can't see anything?
Most important is making sure it can't speak unless it's just us here.
Right.
Easy enough for Vic to cover its eyes too if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Stasi takes her vibe.
She'll go up and use that last cure light wounds on herself.
Yeah, might as well. Certainly not on
Pretty
Nixon,
bald,
who's
yeah.
finishing up the dregs of his shift.
Stasi casts that spell as she's walking up the stairs. She has completely forgotten Nixon exists. She is fully focused on why am I being excluded from
Yeah.
this thing that happened that I was part of up there while you guys were doing whatever it is you're doing down here. So she's pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Is Barnabas one that you're having stay, or are we asking Barnabas to leave?
You can stay because if we ungag it and it says a certain name, we are all ready.
I am starting to feel we need to be aware that in our trying to protect Stasi, we are alienating her, and we don't want to say the name, of course, but she is going to need more eventually, or she is going to, at best, leave us.
Well, I think that would be best.
For her to leave us?
Yes. Why would we involve any more people? We are already putting everyone on this ship in danger. I don't even know why she's still with us.
You know, you are the best conscience ever. And I always appreciate when you speak up like that.
Are you implying that I am your conscience?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We should talk later, perhaps for 8 hours.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
God, and the tedium of day after day of Dora having to wrestle with this.
Fucking deal with this.
I know.
Like, it's so frustrating.
And again, there's nowhere to go.
Right.
There's nowhere to go.
nowhere
And she
to-
has no other projects now.
Yeah.
Except for now she has this mending spell. She could probably help out on the ship somehow.
Yeah.
But
Oh my gosh.
the real need now is here.
Yeah.
And while Stasi is a phenomenally valuable counseling resource, to his point, like, Grip can't be trusted around her right now.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's dealing with that much madness could say anything at any time. He shouldn't even do his fucking shifts. As it, it's
What are we seeing from Grip as he's acclimating to being alive again? Is there an outward manifestation that they'd be aware of yet?
I think you might start to notice him looking like he's talking to himself. Or having a conversation with someone no one else can see, perhaps.
Oh,
not
God.
not like for minutes at a time, but the occasional, well, that's what I thought. Just the occasional thing like that, I think, is how these hallucinations
Yeah.
are hitting him.
So the three of you, oh my god, well, who knows about fucking Vic? The two of you for sure, Dora and Dabs, who wake up knowing, oh fuck, he's going to be in a real bad way, and not knowing what that means would absolutely be catching the small signs of that. Vic, I don't know. I mean, what do you think?
It's all a dream.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I miss you, brother. I miss you. Like, I don't know why that happened, but you know, I miss just getting to be around you, and you know, I can't wait till I wake up and finally finish all that crafting, and then I can come back and be with you again. You know, and I'm
Vic, you're
so
fucking
sorry.
awake right now. You are awake. You are fucking awake right now.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm awake right now. I know.
Am I going to have to shake you to make you realize you're fucking awake? Really awake?
Well, yeah.
Really awake?
Okay.
Really awake?
Yeah. If it makes
I'm
you feel
telling
better.
him he's really awake. That's what I'm telling him. That's right.
Yeah.
He says to nobody.
Oh man, you got it bad too. This is not good, is it?
Well, it's nice that you miss me, I suppose. And he just trails off.
Yeah.
I made you. Well, it's kind of like a cape. I made you a cape out of the fur, but I don't have it right now.
I'll have it when I fall back asleep.
Within this sleep that I'm having now.
So
Jesus
the
Christ.
two adults in the room.
Yeah, Dora is looking at Dabwick like,
Yeah, seriously.
what
so
the
what do you
fuck
do?
are we gonna do? So I think she's gonna kind of, without saying anything aloud, or just while they're having this conversation, probably not paying attention to either one of us, she's gonna be like, "How? What with Vic? If you want to find some inroad with Grip?"
I can try,
But they gotta go to work first.
but I gotta go to work.
And is the plan to keep the rat unconscious for now?
I can do that.
That's a job you could handle.
Yeah. Although, can me and the rat hang out upstairs because I am so tired of being down in this hold.
The rat cannot be ungagged.
Yeah,
unmuzzled.
no.
You
I'll keep the
understand?
rat gagged.
I don't know how Skywin would feel about having the rat on above decks.
We'll just tie him to the mast. Like a trophy. Just make him what do they call the thing at the front? The
That doesn't
headpiece?
seem
What
bad at all
figurehead.
for
Masthead.
Figurehead.
any other ships that go by to see a humanoid creature tied to the mast.
All of a sudden, we're like reavers.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
No.
And now you're tying up witches to
Also,
stakes.
There is a gigantic 15-foot tall bat monstrosity up still.
Oh no, they pushed that
They
out.
push it.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
We're going to butcher that for meat, right?
Ew.
Oh,
Not anymore.
not anymore. She wanted to get
Too
rid of
late.
that shit.
I will indeed offer my mending services to anyone who might be able to make use of it. Just small things to help make other people's jobs easier, since I haven't done a great deal to help out. But
So,
it'd be great if I could keep an eye on either one of them.
so you're gonna go up onto the deck as well. We're gonna air quotes leave Vic in charge of the rat while you sort of keep your eye
Yes.
on Vic, and Dabs will take their shift while also keeping their eye on Vic, and then, leaving
Yeah, like-
Grip.
I don't want to leave Grip down, but
And at some point, like, Nixon's gonna be done with his shift and go down to sleep,
we definitely don't want Grip down there then.
right?
Well, I mean, as far as Nixon knows, when he said, "Can I put my hat back on?" Like, maybe.
Oh, he's Montague again.
Montgomery.
again. Could Dabwick keep an eye on Grip if Grip is interested in doing their shift, which we haven't even asked? Could Dabwick keep an eye on him while I keep an eye on Vic up there?
Their shifts are at different times. There's this block of time that Grip has
Yeah.
where Dabs has to be working. So do we leave Grip in the darkness talking to himself, or do we try to encourage him to get up on the deck and do something?
Come on. Let's go up. You
Yeah.
and me take the rat. Come on, let's go.
How about practice knot tying with the twins?
Yeah, you can tie up the rat some more. Come on.
All right. Yeah, I'll tie some knots. That's fine. That's fucking fine. I don't care. Knots sound fine.
So you go upstairs and
During this time, can I, even in my not right state, try to give him counseling? Because I am truly trying to engage with him and telling him how much I love him and how I miss him and how he's my brother and how, like,
You got to do that or you're crafting.
I'm not doing any crafting.
Right,
There's
okay.
no crafting going on.
Yeah, Insane Vic has seen there is no reason for him to craft here because it's not real.
Oh, right.
I got to go grind it out in the real world. I'm not doing it. I'm not crafting.
I'm not wasting my time with that shit here.
I am crafting nothing in the dreamlands.
Here's my thought, Johnny. I think as long as you're dormant, I'm okay with it. If you're not dormant, I don't think that you can provide any practical help to another insane
Cool.
person. So you're dormant today. We'll let you do that. So you all head up to this gloomy day, and this fog that your other characters started to see thinly coming in against the wind last night has definitely moved in. Weirdly thick, Dimension of Dreams thick. And it's coming from in front of you. It's coming from downstream. Last time it had sort of poured in behind you. And it's like killing the sense of the natural world around you. I think I described it that way before. Like the smell of seaweed is kind of like muted by this. The smell of dead fish in the lake. The smell of the trees coming off the forest. I assume, Polly, you have Dabs kick off the morning with altar winds. So this would be the day that you would start prepping Altar River. I went back and looked at it, and it's actually got a short duration, just 1 minute per level.
Oh.
I think you and I had been thinking of it as like an overland travel spell, but I think it's more like something you do in the short term to either speed the ship in a chase or to pull somebody back, maybe who's gone overboard. I still think it's worth preparing, but I don't know that it actually is going to increase the ship's
Speed. And,
over the course of a day.
That makes sense.
Does the Rat Witch have any visible Jamandur paraphernalia that is recognizable, or is it just
Not at all.
the birthmark or whatever it is on the flea?
With the flea not here, there is no evidence of Jamandur on the witch's person.
Okay.
The giant beacon of Jamandur seems to be the flea, and the flea is not here. So you do have, is Riversight in your rotation for prep today?
Yes.
You want to attempt to use that?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and cast that, and then give me a perception check.
So Dabwick touches a smooth river stone to the river water. And a perception check.
Little frog eyes start surfacing up and down the river, 14 miles. I mean, 16 miles now? You've leveled up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
21.
Okay. Yeah. A little bit into the ritual casting of this spell, Dabs does catch sight of the giant flea of Jamandur on the Razmiran bank, which, because of the fog, you can't see with your bare eyes right now, but is actually less than a mile away. And it's the first time you've seen the north bank of this river, and here on the glass, the land is much flatter. The fir trees have given way to more sparse pine and birch and larch. The tree cover in general is much more sparse. There's none of those towering cliffs. There's a ton of undergrowth here, though, lots of ferns and bushes and moss, and you are able to see kind of up and down the riverbank some fairly wide open stretches of grassland and currently worked farmland, which had never been in evidence way back when you were in kind of unpopulated Razmarin before. You would certainly catch sight through the casting of this spell of sporadically of some fishing boats near the Razmarin shore, although as you're moving along and it's getting foggier and foggier, you're probably seeing the ships fewer and further between and maybe starting to ditch out. Typically like 1 or 2 people on a small boat bringing in a small catch, maybe to either feed a family or feed a small group of families, not like a commercial operation yet. But you do catch sight of the flea at one point, standing up on its hind legs, like tickling its little mouth parts in the air, exposing its unholy symbol of Jamandor as it stares out with desperate eyes into the fog, into the river, seemingly right at your boat. And it seems, probably unsurprisingly, very agitated. But it doesn't seem to, they don't have wings. They can jump a long way, but it seems to be sort of stuck there, waiting desperately.
Oh, little buddy.
Little buddy. Little Jamandori
I'm not
buddy.
there yet. I'm not there yet, guys.
Is seeing that symbol of Jamandor equivalent to reading the name or hearing the name?
It is not, no. Because it, like,
But
if you...
saying, I wonder what that's a symbol of is a problem.
The thing that does the implantation is the act of the brain understanding Jamandor's nature as a cosmic parasite, which is transmitted by the syllables of the name itself, but does not seem to be transmitted by iconography. Like it just looks like a splotch. I think somebody else who didn't know it was special. Like, it's possible this other character of Paul's could have lived in a city and this flea could have walked around and not visually. It doesn't seem like it's spread visually.
Great.
But it is on the written word.
What's that?
It is with the written word.
Right, yeah. If you saw the name Jamandor written out in a language that you can read, yes. On the other side of the bank, you would see the Firani forest of Kyonin, which again, I think I mentioned before, is just like that fangorn, ancient growth trees, just like right up to the waterline, towering, nothing like the heights of the Enchanted Wood, but weirdly tall. Never catch sight of an actual elf, but of course your little froggy eyes popping up and down the river can practically feel those elven eyes catching sight of your little scrying sensor every time it surfaces. Everyone is watched on the borderland of the homeland of the elves.
Is there any sense of where this fog might begin? And if with Riversight, can I see?
Because you've got 16 miles, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think you would see that it begins to dissipate. It's about like a 5-mile radius patch of it that thins out behind you and thins out ahead of you and seems to be, centered probably, roughly within a mile of where the flea has landed, which is kind of basically at the mouth of the river. It seems all centered on the mouth proper of the river. But yeah, it does thin out on the other side, and you can tell that if you keep going, you're gonna clear it.
Great.
All right, that's what you see. So you get to work on your shift, checking in with Skywin. Have you had dealings with this Nixon chap?
No. I only know him as someone who used to work for Vic.
And someone you locked in a
Tower.
tower.
Oh, that's him?
That's
him.
We're cool, right? You're cool. You're cool,
man.
I was trying to do my best Johnny doing this character.
I think you did a phenomenal job.
No, man.
Yes, I know this chap. He's a worm, as far as I know. What did he do while you were fighting?
Well, Debs, he helped quite significantly. Look, he obviously has insane levels of fighting prowess, which could be quite useful on our ship while you are all sleeping. However, he is a liar, and he seems, like you said, like an untrustworthy knave.
The thing about him is, he's always looking out for himself, right? So use that to your advantage. You can probably get whatever you want from him. That was my experience, at least. Easy to trick, easy to guide, easy to lead.
That's good information. I certainly don't feel right dumping him overboard.
Well, if you want to.
Can you see to healing him up as best you can?
Will do, Cat.
All right. Vic is watching the unconscious rat while giving some counseling to Gripper. Why don't you go ahead and roll that intelligence check up?
What do I roll? Do I just roll a...
Straight up.
Straight up intelligence.
What do you do with the drunken sailor? What do you do with the drunken sailor?
Surprisingly enough, that's an 8.
What do you do
Well,
with the
this was a
drunken
good plan.
sailor lying?
And Dora goes up and pops her head into the larger cabin where normally Vic would be working when he wasn't in a
Seeing the
dream.
Cold tools and scraps.
But of course, Gosa and Reuben and Harlar are there. And when you come in and offer your services, this is that spell is incredibly useful for Reuben's work, and he would absolutely invite you to sit down and join in. And you get a strong sense after a time of working in silence, and these three have known each other for a while, and so there's, without the disruption of Vic here, there's kind of a lot of just peace and quiet amongst them.
I just looked up what my components were for mending.
Oh yeah, what are they?
The thought component is hands, probably her hands, but really Tima's hands.
Yeah.
Restoring the binding of a book, like
Oh, so it'd be in mirror image because your handedness would be shifted.
Yes.
Yeah.
and the emotion component is peace.
Oh, perfect.
So I think she finds this very satisfying after the night we just had.
Yes.
And all that's going on, and sort of her anxiety about who is this witch, a little worry about Stasi and not infecting her or anyone else on the, So she's, I think she takes to this really well.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the mental labor that she's normally doing when she's doing a shift of anything, whether it's counseling or research. This is, guiding with her hands. It's sort of repetitive. It's getting instructions on how something is supposed to be and then fulfilling that requirement, not really taxing her brain and letting it recharge, which is something she almost never gets to do.
Yeah. And, I'm thinking about, of course, all these people would be interested to know more about what happened while they were barricaded in their thing. They, understand that you were asleep during it, and they, I think they all know you a little bit less than everybody else.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you spent so much of that first month below decks.
And that one fight we had with the Vunas, she just walked up, killed one thing, and went right back
And then walked right
downstairs.
away. Yeah. There's
I think when she's working with other people, she lets them lead. So if they say something personal about themselves or someone else, she will follow up, she will inquire, but it's like things you do while you're distracted with your hands doing other work,
Yeah.
So she welcomes getting to know one another better, but she doesn't sit up there and interview them or
Right.
press.
Yeah. It's kind of the
She
opposite
tries
of
to fall
Vic
into
jumping in.
She tries to fall into their rhythm and their level of intimacy and to meet them where they are.
I think after, by the time we hit around 10:30, quarter to 11 or so in the morning, you've been at this for a little bit. Gosa, she's the one, she is middle-aged, but she looks extremely young. She looks like a little blonde-haired, Swedish girl, basically braided hair, like Reuben, all covered up. And in her case,
Are they married? Are they
they're
the
married.
ones that are married?
They're the ones that
Okay.
are married.
Yep.
So Reuben's always covered up because he's always cold. She's always covered up because it seems as though she's covered in scars and burns.
Right.
And I think after, a chunk of time of peace, she looks up from some of the work that she's doing. Dora, I wanted to speak with you, if I may.
Of course.
We are both women of a certain age, if you will. It's my hope is that you might have some understanding of where I'm coming from, what I'm going through. My life had always been one thing. She rolls up her left sleeve, and she shows just a terribly scarred and burnt patch on her left arm. That all that it was surviving. Yeah.
Yeah.
then things changed, and she kind of puts a hand on Reuben and gives him a little squeeze. And we were on the run, but it was still the same thing, surviving. And then we found these good people, and we got to work. And we were safer, of course, but to a certain extent, all we were doing was surviving. And I always thought, well, that is what life is. You simply survive, and then you die. But I have been listening this last week to Grip and Reuben as they've been working together, and I'm watching Vic and Harlar and their endless chatter. Harlar he takes a puff on his pipe and nods. But I begin to wonder, there is something that I have always wanted for myself, for me, and I have always wanted to learn how to read.
Oh.
The others aboard, they do not have time to teach me, and Reuben, poor dear, he's so honey, you are so good with your hands. And you're a very good teacher when it comes to that work, I'm sure Grip would confirm, but he's not so good with the reading. He doesn't have the facility to teach language in a way that he can teach others. But I was wondering if this was something that you might help me with.
Most certainly. And I think you will find it is a skill that opens up the world in a way you might not even be able to imagine. I would be honored to do this for you, with you.
She sort of perks up in her seat, very stoically nods. This would be very exciting for me. Now, time, we will have to do this around my work, of course.
Yes.
But when I have free time, I can come find you?
Of course, yes.
Very good, very good. And she gets back to her work very, very studiously, and Reuben nods very seriously.
Are there books on this ship that are not Men and Vultures and the 21 other books?
Yeah, there would be.
Okay.
Skywin, between Skywin and Otha, and probably Benemy, there would certainly be log books and like things you could read that would be teaching like practical matters. And then I think both Otha and Benemy would have probably florid fantasy novels.
Dora could certainly put together like primers herself, a very simple thing.
That's probably what she needs to start with.
And you got to figure that Len and Din have some fun books to read, right? They have something goofy and fun
Didn't
and
we
enjoyable.
find some book of erotica? What did we do with that?
I gave it to the old lady's
that's right.
corpse.
You gave it to the old lady's corpse. Like you do.
Oh boy. Okay.
By 11, the fog is getting thicker and thicker, and the river is really starting to move here. And it becomes pretty quickly all hands on poles for a while, with the visibility being so bad. So maybe this is also why counseling is going nowhere. When there's an indication that Grip is needed, Grip is able to just step away from that. Is he? So he knows he's awake. He knows where he's at. Is he responsive to a sense of, even though it's not your shift, your help is needed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
He's aware. He remembers the boat. He remembers all of that. It's just that sometimes this thing creeps in.
Yeah, okay. So he and Benemy and Lynn and Din and Joshua are all along the starboard rail, kind of pushing away to make sure you don't, like, hit Kyonin. Skywind's trying to hug as close as possible to the southern shore. Just, again, even though you're so close to Razmarin, just trying to keep as far away as you humanly can. Veldy and Katzen are on the port side with poles of their own. Dabs is probably, I'm guessing, since on duty, like up at the prow, keeping their eyes peeled. Skywind's up in the crow's nest at this time. Visibility gets worse and worse and worse, and you're at the point pretty quickly, again, where it's just like the sense of the outside world is fading away. There's no smells of it. There's no sights of it. It's like the middle of, it's almost noon. There's sunlight coming through the fog, so if there's light, you just can't see. Everybody give me perception checks.
Are Stasi and Barnabas there? Or are they sleeping?
This is their sleeping time. Same thing for Nyx. Front of the ship. Dabwick.
32.
Yeah. That's great. Next is probably Vic.
20.
Grip.
28.
What the hell?
Natural 20, y'all.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
And Dora.
25.
You are all aware of a sound of a more flapping of wings, this time coming from all sides at you, and much to your chagrin, 2 diving out of the fog to the port side, 2 diving out of the fog from the starboard side. Creatures out of Nightmare that 3 of you have seen before. Lanky, 7-foot tall, inky black humanoids, fleshy wings, horns, long prehensile tail, and no face. 4 night gaunts are swooping down to the ship, and we'll pick this fight up next time. That's the end of chapter 113.
Oh, wow.
Dark Nexus is produced by Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's Paizo.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Syrinscape. Check them out at Syrinscape.com. That's Syrinscape.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Derek, Darren, Michaela, JH, the Biscuit Buddies, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration.
You know what we're fighting here? We're fighting a couple 2-3 tigers.
Hey-o.
Is that a reference to something?
No, it's just, it's like the Chicago 3, but it's a couple
Tree.
2-3
Yeah,
tigers.
two
A couple
trees.
2-3 tigers over by there.
Oh, tree tigers.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah, see?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Thanks for taking the time to explain it to
That's
me.
the sign of a good joke.